Hey everyone, Ken here with Ken's Kreations, and in today's project we're going to take a look on how to make 3D foam frames. So I'm so excited today to show you how to make these 3D foam frames. Now recently I got the Cricut distressed foam and I wasn't really sure what to do with it. I've seen a ton of projects for kids out there, but not a lot of other projects. So I wanted to create something fun for my house, which led me to these 3D foam frames. I'm going to go ahead and show you in Cricut Design Space how quick and easy these are to create, and then how to cut them on your Cricut Explorer. So let's first start in Design Space with our design. So everyone, I want to show you quickly how you can make these amazing 3D frames for any occasion. Now, on the screen you see the star one that I just showed you in the intro to my video, and I'm going to go ahead and save that project so that way you can go ahead and use this in Design Space if you wish. Make sure if you do use this project that you size it according to the frame that you bought. Now, for our next project, we're going to do the same 3D frame, but we're going to be doing a heart. Now, I'm going to go ahead and be using the Cricut craft foam, which you can get two different styles. Right now, they have the neutral tone colors, which is their craft foam plush, and then they have the bright live colors, which is the craft foam distressed. And that's the one I'm going to be using for our next 3D frame, which is a heart project. So let's go ahead and start a new project, and I'm going to show you how we can do this heart frame and how easy it really is. So once we have a new project started, we can go ahead and start our 3D frame. Now it's really important when designing your frame to make sure that you bought a shadow frame, and you also want to know the size of your frame. I actually bought a white 8x8 frame, so that's what we're going to be working with on this heart frame. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing and the great thing about this project is I'm going to be using all basic shapes, which are free in Design Space. So we're going to go ahead and insert our square because that is what I bought for my frame. My frame is 8x8, so we're going to go to the Edit tab and make sure I'm 8x8, and there is the size of our frame. Now we need to go ahead and insert a heart, and this will be the top layer of our 3D frame. So we're going to go ahead and size this perfectly for the square. Now we don't want it to be 8 inches because if we do that, it's going to cut off on the edges. But we do want it to be as big as possible so you can see the 3D layers down below. I'm going to go ahead and size this at a 7.75 width. It's going to size my heart, and now I can go ahead and move it right here in my box. Now what we're going to do is we're going to draw a virtual line, or box, around this, and we're going to hit Align and Center. I love these new Align tools in Design Space because it does all the work for me. So it centered that heart perfectly in that square. Now while these items are still selected, we're going to go to Layers and Slice. This is like a cookie cutter, so it's going to slice that heart right through that square, and now we can get rid of the heart shape. Now sometimes when you slice an image, your sizing might change just a little bit. And as you can see here, I went up to 8.01. We just want to make sure we're back at 8 inches because this is going into a frame. We want to make sure it's perfect. And then we can go to layers and change this to the color of foam we're using. Since I'm using a white frame, I want my top layer to match the color of the frame. So I'm going to change it to white. Now we can go ahead and do this process all over again for our next layer of foam. So I'm going to go ahead and insert a square. And I want to make sure it is at 8 inches. And then we need to bring in another heart. Now we want to go ahead and give it about an inch room around so that way you can really see those 3D elements going all the way down. Since this one was 7.75, I'm going to go ahead and change this one to 6.75. And following the same exact procedure, I'm just going to go ahead and put that in my square. Draw a box around it. Using the Align tools, I'm going to center it all. And then I'm going to, while it's still selected, hit Layers, Slice. And we're going to go ahead. We don't need that heart in the middle. And once again, just double check your sizing because I've seen, once again, it went to 8.01. We just changed this to the color we'd like. So this one I'm going to go ahead and make a pink. And if you want to see a visual, you can go ahead and then go to your item here, Arrange, move to back, and then kind of see what it looks like behind that. All right, and we can kind of see there, it looks pretty good. You can also select all of your items and hit center, and it will center it perfectly. All right, so let's go ahead and follow this same procedure going all the way down. So we want to make sure we have our white, our pink, and now I'm going to go ahead and do yellow, green, blue, purple, and we're going to go down in 1 each increments. So once again, this top one was 7.75. The pink is going to be 6.75. The yellow is going to go ahead and be 5.75, so on and so forth. So I'm going to go ahead and speed up the video a little bit and put music to it, and you can watch along. All right, once we get to our last 8x8 shape, this is going to be your base shape. So you're not going to put obviously a heart in it because this will be the bottom of your 3D element. So we're just going to size this to 8 inches high and 8 inches wide, and we're going to go ahead and change it, of course, to the color that we're going to cut the foam on. So once that is done, we can go ahead and move it to the back, and that will give you an idea of what your frame should look like. Now, before we go ahead and cut this project, I always like to go to each layer and just double check my sizing again. Because this is going into a frame, you want to make sure each layer is exactly 8 inches so everything lines up perfectly. So I'm going to go ahead and go to each of these layers, make sure we're good to go. And once we are, all we need to do is we can go ahead and hit go. Now we can see Design Space is went ahead and separated all of our different foam sheets onto mats. So now you can go ahead and move it at this point. And I would recommend doing that. And the only reason why is your Cricut machine has 2 little rollers here. This foam is pretty durable, so it will go ahead and bounce back, but I kind of like it in the center of my mat, so that way those rollers don't roll over my foam. Now, once I've went ahead and moved it to where I know my rollers will be out of the way, I can go ahead and hit go, and it's going to communicate to my Cricut Explore Air that a project is well on its way. Now, when you set your machine, you want to make sure you set your machine to the custom dial. And there are 3 different foam settings. You have a foam plush for Cricut, you have a foam distressed for Cricut, and you also have just a craft foam. So depending on which material you're working with, it's really important you set the right one. So once again for this project, we're going to be using the craft foam distressed here. Now with this, it's important that you're going to use your deep cut blade. So you want to make sure that you put that in place of where your normal blade housing would be. Now, it's also recommended that you use the purple strong grip mat or a brand new standard grip mat, which is what I'm going to be using for this project. Also, at any time, if you don't remember the instructions, on the inside of the insert gives you all of the instructions on how to cut this foam. Now we're ready to go ahead and put our foam on the mat and do our first cut. So let's go ahead and put our craft foam on the mat. Now it's really important to make sure that your grain here is going vertical on your mat. We're going to go ahead and line that up in the corner, and then you just want to make sure it is on there nice and good. So just go ahead and get a nice secure. And now we can go ahead and load this into the machine. and make our first cut. We've went ahead and unloaded our mat, so now we can go ahead and get our craft foam. Now sometimes the cut is very light and you do have to help start it, but once it's started, it should easily peel right up. So we're going to go ahead and remove the parts that we don't need. And then in the center is that heart. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to peel it up until I start seeing the fold of the heart, which is right there. I'm going to hold the heart piece down, and then that will gently tear away from the rest of the heart. All right, so there is our first cut. Now I'm going to go ahead and follow the same procedure for all the different layers, and then I'll show you how to construct the frame. So let's go ahead and construct our frame. We have our 8x8 frame here, shadow frame, and then of course we have all of the hearts that were cut out. Now on these hearts, don't throw them away. Here's a little Ken's Creation bonus project. If you actually give these to your kiddos in the bath, they'll actually, when wet, attach to the towel wall. So it's a cool little project. But we don't need those for this project, so let's go and put them off to the side, and let's go and construct our frame. Now on your shadow frame, we'll go ahead and flip it around here and take the backing. Now shadow frames always come with this insert because it's a shadow frame. We actually don't want that, so we're going to go ahead and get rid of that. And then we're going to start with our base color, or our white color first. Make sure when you're checking your foam that there's no other colors on there, and also make sure the inside of your frame is clean and clear of any smudges or anything like that. And what we're going to do is we're going to layer the white one in first. And then before you put your back on, you just want to kind of flip it around and make sure that there's no colors or any imperfections that you need to fix. If it looks good, you can go ahead and put your backing behind the purple final one there and shut down your tabs. But then your frame should be complete. So as you can see, these 3D foam frames are very easy to make, and just imagine all the possibilities. Now I've given you the files down below to both of these projects for the star and the heart. And don't forget, these extra cutouts can be used in the bathtub with your kids to attach onto the tile walls. Now you can also do letters, you could do tons of different shapes, so just imagine everything that you could create for your own house. Well, I hope this project was very easy for you guys to make. Make sure if you like this project that you're checking out my blog over at www.creativeken.com. For any of the products I used in this project, make sure to check out the links down below in the description. Also, if you like this project and want to see more, make sure to subscribe to this channel by clicking on the subscribe now on your screen. Make sure to check out my Facebook page, my Twitter page, Pinterest, Instagram, and anywhere else you can find Ken on the internet. All right, everyone, thank you so much for watching today's projects on 3D foam frames. I hope you go out there and create something magical. Thanks, everyone.